Lesson 115, cubic functions. So this is where the greatest power of any variable in your function is a 3. So when we had linear, linear functions looked like a straight line. So when we graphed them, they're just a straight line. That's called linear. Then we've had quadratic, and those are parabolas. Now we have a cubic function, and one type of cubic function that we'll be dealing with looks kind of like this. So one side goes down and the other side will go up. So here's an example, and this is our parent function, y equals x cubed. If we were to plug in some values for x and y, when y is -2, x will be when x is -2, y will be -8. When x is -1, y will be -1. When x is 0, y is 0. When x is 1, y is 1. And when x is 2, y is 8. So if we were to graph that, so we had, oops, I gotta go do the negatives. So at -2, we have -8. At -1, we have -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and then 2, 8. And so it's going to look like that curvy graph there. So that's our parent function. Now when we have a negative in front of it, so if we had, here's another example, y equals -x cubed, this actually will reflect in the x-axis. I guess you could look at it as reflecting in the y-axis, because what happens is it just goes basically the other way, where it gets bigger on the left and smaller on the right. When you solve, solving means finding the x-intercepts. So if you're asked to solve a cubic function, that just means find the x-intercepts, and that is when y is equal to 0. When y equals 0. So here's an example. If we're asked to solve, y equals x cubed minus 1. So first I know that this looks like a cubic function that has been vertically shifted down 1 unit. So here's, looks just like the parent function. We just go down 1 unit. So if I'm looking for the x-intercept, it's when y equals 1. So, when y equals 0, so we said 0 equals x cubed minus 1. I add 1 to both sides. X cubed equals 1. And then we can take the cubed root of both sides, and the cubed root of 1 is 1. So when I want to solve for x, I just say x equals 1. And that's my x-intercept. Sometimes it says solve by graphing, and you can use the graphing calculator to plug in and find your zeros. So for instance, let's just do one, if we had -2x squared equals 1/2 x cubed minus 1, and we want to solve for x, or find out what x equals. So we can add the x squared to the other side. We get 1/2 x cubed plus 2x squared minus 1 equals 0, then I'm going to multiply everything by 2 just to get rid of this fraction. And I get x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2 equals 0. And when I plug it into my graphing calculator, I get 3 zeros. Looks like I get 3 zeros. So x is approximately negative 3.87, negative 0.789, and a positive 0.655. And that's the end of the lesson.